There's some kind of heron. Can't tell whether it's a great blue or smaller. Okay, I'm beginning my second day in Panama at Casco Viejo. Casco Viejo was the settlement that was built after Panama La Viejo was successfully attacked and ravaged. I think that's the Puente Americana, the American bridge. That was the first bridge built over the canal. And then in 2003, the Centennial Bridge was built, completed. This Casco Viejo that we'll explore this morning is the prime tourist place other than the canal itself. I don't know whether this wall represents the original battlement, but certainly just by implication you can see that this was designed as a fort against sea power attacks. One of the tremendous growth areas, in fact it's number one as of 2 or 3 years ago I think, including the canal, is tourism. Because there are many amenities here in Panama that you don't get in Mexico. I'm just going to pan through this little park right at the edge of the point. The building on the right that was so pretty is an elegant hotel. At least it looks that way. What this park is doing at this point with these statues is celebrating the original people who were initiators of, involved in the creation of the canal, specifically the French, the first attempt. What the story is behind the chicken, I don't know. But I think it's the first bronze chicken statue I've seen. This is de Lesseps, who I think was the originator of the Panama Canal idea. This man appears to be the director of work on the Panama. I forget how many thousands, I think it was like 23 or 43,000 people died during the French attempt, primarily from disease. This man, Pedro Sosa, attributed to being the promoter of the canal. Again, a promoter, but somehow related to the Navy, Armand Reclus. And the same with Lucien Bonaparte Wise. So this memorial and the statues that you'll see in a moment are a memorial to the French and their attempt to build the canal. I always wonder when I look at statues of people who have done important things, if they anticipated their footnote in history. In this case, a rather large footnote. More than a fleeting guess, I imagine that this high raised platform we're on, this wall was not only higher and thicker, but had gaps in it for cannon. There you see the boats or ships in position for making their entry into the canal. In downtown Panama. That's the causeway that connects the mainland with those 3 islands out there, and historically that was where ships disembarked their cargo because the water was deep enough. When I stand in places like this, I try to imagine the different human beings, in this case probably men, who have stood here and the different emotions they've had. Some terrifying and frightening before a battle. Others simply thinking of home when not much was happening otherwise. Others admiring the beauty. In the travel process at home, you look at the guidebooks and you read them and you look at the maps and you try to orientate yourself before you go and then imagine what it's going to look like. So it's always interesting at the very least to actually get here and feel the places you've been trying to imagine. If those are rooms in the hotel, they're probably the primo rooms, with this almost 180-degree view. My plan is to thoroughly explore this Casco Viejo, and then I'll walk along Avenida Balboa, which is all along the waterfront, to find apparently some good fish restaurants for lunch. Using business people, these are mainly Kuna Indians, and if not Kuna, the products they sell are. And they will come, as this man here is walking towards us, he's laid his sheet out and he just has a backpack where he has all of his jewelry, and he'll lay it all out and spend the day enticing tourists. Many of the things are very pretty. I don't know where they're made. I'm sure it's in some kind of a factory thing. Maybe there's some original Kuna.
Necklace, ladies, semilla, puro natural.
This Spanish-speaking man to my left, tourist, is making jokes with this fellow about everything being for sale for $5.
5, 10, 50, different price.
Okay, this I just saw, and this gentleman has agreed to let me buy it for $3 for Cami, because I think she might like it to wear to school. And here come many of the tourists from America in the language. And they will also help this man feed his family well, I think. Now I'm getting into the town proper here off that super intense little tourist spot, and we'll just roam and see what there is to see. This is a blessing for this area. This is the old building that I was able to see a few minutes ago from up above that looked like it was in great disrepair, but maybe in the state of being restored. This is an old building being supported with a steel structure right now, the balcony, I'm sure in anticipation of restoration at some point. It may even be that they're wise enough to mandate that anything in this area cannot be destroyed. For example, if you look closely, you'll notice just the shell of that building remains, and it's supported for future restoration. That gives a better idea of what's going to be done to this building. All the material for cement. Buenos dias. Sometimes it's hard to look at a building like this and realize the magnificence of it when it's completed, but it'll look pretty darn neat, I think, particularly as a contrast to the city beyond. Here another little parklet. Don't know whether those are residences or hotels, but they're pretty. I can imagine living in a place like this if I had some reason to be here. It's fun to sit on a bench in a little park like this with no particular schedule. It's kind of a synthetic way to pretend that you're part of a culture, or that in a few brief moments you can somehow absorb some of the ambience of that culture. Tape 8, and this is the beginning of 9, same scene. Probably the limit of the fort. This nicely restored building is the Ministry of Justice, and giving a lead in restoration. The interior of the government building. Very simple, workmanlike design. And from the roar and the coolness in here, my guess is behind those louvers is some kind of air conditioning system. There apparently used to be some kind of trolley or railroad that came down through here. It doesn't come now. It'd be neat if they resurrected that. In this one shot you see a reality here. The old building on the right, the roof just about falling off, and then further down you can see some of the webbing over an old building that's being restored. If I were a younger man, I could get excited about places like this for investment. Come down, live for 6 months, learn about the area, and invest. because the explosion in tourism is probably just beginning. While I've never been to Bourbon Street in New Orleans, my guess is that when this gets restored, it'll have somewhat that kind of a look. It'd be interesting to know how this big building that's now just a shell will be reconstructed, and how the reconstruction has been designed, literally. For the people that have owned these old buildings, their ship has come in. These investments are now really going to pay off. And in these buildings, there are 3 of them. Whether those 3 are all included, I don't know, or just the one behind the sign, will be 19 apartments, as well as some commercial space. That building houses a museum on the ground floor, and I'm betting that those are apartments up above. Originally the Archdiocese of Panama, and it takes up an entire block. And that building was originally the Central Hotel. Five is the large Archdiocese building. And 4 is the Hotel Central that has already been restored fully. This houses the Museo de Canal Interoceanico de Panama. By note, this Museum of the Canal is an excellent museum if you speak Spanish or read Spanish. If you don't read Spanish, it's almost a waste of time. Other than a couple of minutes maybe of some video that's original from the time of the canal's construction. There's probably nothing in there that you will either understand or have not seen many, many times in any American museum. They do not allow video cameras, which makes absolutely no sense to me at all, except for the selfishness of museums. You can go to the Louvre with a video camera and shoot every incredibly expensive piece of art in the world that they have. Among other reasons that anger me, what angers me most is that they want our money. They'll take our money both as a culture and as that museum, but they will not give us, they knowingly do not give us anything in return other than the little video. Whereas a small little portion on every major part of the museum that explains what's being talked about. I've seen it done in other museums in Mexico. So it's not an impossibility, it was a choice. Interesting. These are made of wood, and you think that they would be wise enough to protect it, but they're not. More of that trolley line. Another shell of a building overgrown with vines. And look at those pretty little cupped out areas. It's a pretty building. It's a beautiful ruin. Wouldn't it be interesting to build your own house inside this building with a courtyard that left many of these really pretty cupped out arches still exposed? It certainly is a beautiful building. Here is an inspiration to the owners of the property. There's a nicely done roadway, some shoring up there, and next to a building that has been pretty much restored, I'm guessing, from the materials on the outside. Just another view down another street. Notice again the new remodeled, restored on the left, this orange building. Right after it, a razor wire topped old remaining wall, half-finished upper story on that pink one. But notice way in the distance you can see, focus down, a large office building or something in Panama City under construction. And beyond that, a new building completed. That probably pretty much says it for Panama. One more church. This plaque tells us it's the Church of San Jose. It's quite possible this entire roof of this church was either going to cave in or did, and was replaced with this more modern structure. It adds a little bit of a modern look to it also. My guess is behind these quarter cylinder doors is an important statue. It's interesting how churches are designed. Instead of having little side rooms for little chapels, here are almost modular chapel units installed against the walls.
on the bottom you can see the date.
This is a youth hostel. I'm just wandering right now, kind of looking for the Teatro Nacional, National Theater. Found this pretty little parklet. I have no clue what these remains are, but that looks like a large water main pipe. This could just be a runoff drain. The island's at the end of the causeway, boats waiting or just having come out of the canal. This looks like some kind of a restored Grand Hotel. But my guess is that their view will be obliterated by this building if it's ever restored. Narrow street. Notice this is a wood building, gutted on the inside, ready for restoration. Some pretty cement work. This will be a pretty building. This could be the place to live in the next few years. Looks like the remains of a church. I'm guessing this is what it might have been replaced with. It would be interesting if they restored just one half of it. Now what's interesting is that the structural elements in the main are made out of brick with a little bit of cement topping for those items. Here's a pretty little park that looks out to the islands and goes down to that original point that I was at this morning. Now, owning one of these to live in would be neat. And if you had a reason also, if you like Panama that much, to rent such a space for a month, might be fun. I hope these folks enjoy where they're living now, because they probably won't be in some relatively short period of time. This is Teatro Nacional, National Theater. It looks like you can go inside. A bunch of tourists. Looking back the way I've come, twice actually, to where the French monument is behind those buildings. Government buildings, side of the National Theater. This is just the entranceway. Margot Fontaine. He's sitting and standing in one of those exclusive boxes
use the bodies as buffers and that way no one will watch your view from down here and you can see it.
Tribute to Wagner and Shakespeare. Wagner and Shakespeare. And here Molière and Rossini on the right. Another little plaza not far from the main plaza. This monument is some tribute to Bolivar. Here he's speaking at the Congress. Notice that apparent landing has fallen in. Now that building, the sign says the bank of something or other, but looks more like a church on the inside and the outside. It's a beautiful location, a very interesting home. Pretty sure it overlooks the ocean right there. And this whole complex here has presidential offices also, even way down there. Pretty little park here. And a view of the Panama that he's responsible for. There's a frigate bird. I don't know if this small group of buzzards, vultures, is in any way at all related to the nearness of the presidential palace or his offices. This is one of the centers for fishing and the Department of Marina. Probably in there all kinds of fish stalls, which I'm not going to bother wandering into. This is kind of the entrance to this area. Seamy, very seamy to the left, kind where you wonder where your body will be found. I'm in a very heavy fish area. This somehow has something to do with a connection between Panama and the Japanese. Mercado de Mariscos fish market. This is where it's the freshest, I suppose. Notice there are a great many black people here because there's, in Panama, about 20% of the population, I think, is black. Coming from 3 different sources. This is how you do it, taking the shells off. There's got to be a faster way. But not where it's inexpensive. Labor, I mean. That's Casco Viejo. The governor's palace is straight ahead. I think it's the part in the white that you see there. I'll go a little closer. Cathedral and the fish area right to the right. One of the ironies of south of the American border is that they can do things like this. Here's a walkway probably about a quarter of a mile to half a mile long with palm trees, nice surface, benches everywhere, which is rare, but palm trees. But there's nothing much redeeming about it. It's not quiet. There's nothing park-like. I don't know, I guess you could park over on one of those side streets. Most of the area across the street has been condemned or torn down or in a state of disrepair. I don't think you'd want to be there at night because there are people who use it. The work that went into this tile work, if you will. This area over on the other side of the street gets finished off into something either useful or pleasant. This walkway will probably have self-destructed because they will not maintain it. And apparently various world manufacturers were bribed into building or supporting this. As I get closer to the downtown area, I'm hoping for a nice fish restaurant. The street are some of the laborers that are still protesting. They're not doing anything outrageous, throw a bit of trash in the street. Mix some modern, then the allusion to the columns at the top. It's like they've recently built this breakwater. Maybe they'll turn this into some kind of a marina. That'd be kind of cool. I'd add some color. Pretty building with the nicely maintained grounds is the hospital San Tomas. And down the street to my left I noticed there was a hospital for children. You take your life in your hands, and we all do it. One of my strategies in a situation like this, I would stand to the right of these ladies and stay right on their right. See how easy that was? Dedicated to Miguel Drat. Someday all this may be very pretty, but right now it's just being developed, I guess. It's the ocean front that you thought would have had a lot of potential, but it's not here. To find a nice restaurant, but haven't found one yet, so I'll just walk the perimeter from over in that corner to the left around. If I don't see one, I'll get a taxi and go back to the hotel. It's a nice quiet place relative to the traffic. And I don't know if you noticed it, but there are probably 6 or 7 military men over there who guard this. A lot of police in South America. Whether they actually do something, I don't know. I presume that as a presence they are effective. And they give a hint as to where I am. I just walked all along here, and I'm now at Park Uraca, and I can go right up that, whatever it is, Frederico, to El Congreo, via España, and then my hotel is right there where the X is on Morales. Here you get a little bit of a sense that you're in the belly of the beast. Elegant old building across from where this new building will go. Nice looking home in the middle of the buildings. I like the structural curving balcony cover, if you will, with the column. On Via España, looks like a house. Hotel. This is my room at Hotel Milan. Costs about $53 a night. That includes a 25% discount. Probably because of the competition in this time of year, although I don't know about either one. Very, very nice room. Very nice bathroom. No hot water, only warm water in the morning, nothing in the afternoon, just tepid. Air conditioner runs all the time, or you can turn it off. View from the room. Actually, probably more interesting at night.